Today's topic is changing genres. And if you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips when you decide that you want to try something new. At the beginning of my writing career, I was a nonfiction writer almost exclusively, although I was secretly writing a bit of fiction. And when I kind of put the nonfiction behind me and started writing fiction, I began by writing historical fiction. I thought this would be great. I loved historical fiction. I was super at the research and the analysis of the research kind of stuff, and all of that research which you need to do to write good historical fiction. I thought those skills would stand me in good stead. Well, they did for 2 books. And then I was itching to try different kind of stories. The ideas that I had were not historical ideas. So I had to think about moving into a different kind of a genre within fiction. Then I spent a few years writing women's fiction, which morphed into literary humor, still being women's fiction in a lot of ways, but it began to evolve. And I've evolved to another step recently. I wrote a mystery. My recent book, Don't Say a Word, is a mystery story that had its genesis many, many years ago. Back in 2007, I read a news story in a national newspaper about the mummified remains of an infant that had been found in a Toronto house, a century-old Toronto house that was being renovated. The mummified remains were never identified, and there was never any reason discovered for why that baby died and was wrapped up in newspaper and was put into a wall in a house. I hung on to that story for almost 20 years. And finally, the characters in my mind decided that they could solve it. And that's how I wrote the mystery. For me, changing genres was interesting and challenging, but it was also a blast. It was great fun to write in a different genre. Now, the fact of the matter is I love mystery stories, and that's really important. So this story had to be told that way. I had to learn a lot of new things, and I thought I would share some of them. But before I do, I want to think along with you about why in the world you would change genres. You may have thought about doing it, but you may have thought about that's a great thing to do, that's too challenging to do, that's something I don't want to do, or why in the world would anybody do that? Well, there are a couple of reasons why you might do it. If you're suffering from sort of creative burnout, it might be something that you might want to consider, thinking about, am I still writing the right genre? Maybe I should try something new. And that's the other reason why you might want to do it. You may not be burnt out, but you might like a new creative challenge. Can I write in another genre? Could I give it a try? It might be fun. That's a good reason to do it. The other reason that you might consider doing it is because a story may need to be told in a different genre, like my mystery. I couldn't write a humor story about it. I suppose maybe I could have, but it would be forcing it and trying too hard. And if you want to find out more about that, look at the video on humor writing. One of the things I do want to caution you against, though, is thinking that you're going to change genres so that you can expand your audience, so you're going to write something that people who are reading your books would rather read. That's not a good reason to do it. Just if that's the only reason you want to do it, then you might just as well not bother. Those are not fundamentally sound reasons for doing it if it's just a commercial thing. So now I have 5 tips, things that I learned that I think might help you too. Tip number 1, get to know your new genre inside and out. Now, first, I have to make the reasonable assumption that you're not going to write in a genre that you don't enjoy. You should never write anything in a genre that you don't enjoy. But you need to read within that genre. And I happen to be very lucky that I have a husband who is very much a mystery fan, and therefore had many mystery novels tucked away on his Kindle that he was able to share with me. And I read many mysteries, and I enjoyed every one of them. So that was the first thing, that you have to know your genre very well. Tip number 2, identify common ground. Now, this is interesting. Whatever you've been writing in the past, you probably had some sort of stylistic and thematic kinds of things that went throughout your work. Figure out what those things are that you could use in the new genre. For me, there was no question that the notion of having strong, independent women as a foundation of the characters in the story would carry on, and it has carried on through my mystery story. So find those common grounds. Tip number 3, accept that you are a beginner again. You're a beginner in the new genre. Open your mind to ideas and ways of doing things. It doesn't matter how much you've written before. If you've never written in a particular genre, you are new to it. But you might have a leg up on newbies, people who haven't written anything else at all, because you will be able to transfer many of your skills. But think of yourself as new at this, and you'll look at it in a whole new light. Tip number 4, recognize that there are pacing differences between genres. When I was writing literary humor, and I continue to do that, believe me, one of my books next year will be humorous again, there are times when you can meander through the story. You can't do that when you're writing fiction. The pacing is very tight, and your readers are not going to be wanting to follow along with you. They will lose the plot if they have to meander along through long periods of narrative. So remember that you have to consider differences in pacing when you move either from a faster paced to a slower paced or vice versa. Tip number 5, don't expect your loyal readers to embrace your new genre. Many people are quite happy to read within one genre and wouldn't even consider reading something else, even if you wrote it and even if they've loved your work before. Others might be a little more open-minded. They liked your work and thought, maybe I'll enjoy this. But don't expect it. Lower your expectations or manage your expectations when it comes to your readership. It's kind of exciting to be building a whole other cadre of readers who might enjoy your work. I've actually changed genres a couple of times, and it's been kind of fun. It's been very fun, actually, and I would highly recommend that if you have a reason to do it, then go ahead and give it a try. And if you'd like to have a look at the breadth of my own genre bending work, then have a look at my website and enjoy meandering through that. Happy writing. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat, and maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.